Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. Thank you for joining the Resume Bootcamp, Land Interviews, Not Rejections with Laura Cirilli. This is brought to you by Insignia Training Partners. My name is Bernie DeSantis. I'm the CEO and owner of Insignia Training Partners, and I will be your producer today. Insignia is a training broker that connects organizations with the right talent, content, and resources to be able to design, develop, and deploy training courses, programs, and virtual events such as this that don't suck. If you do run into any technical challenges with Zoom today, please be sure to reach out to me directly in the chat. I'll also drop my contact info into the chat if you'd like to connect with me to explore doing your own virtual event. From a logistics standpoint, we do intend for this to be an interactive event today. So please feel free to drop your comments or questions in the chat. We'll obviously weave them into the conversation or address them towards the end of the event today. Please be sure to participate in the polling questions and chat activities as we proceed. And lastly, please do be advised that we are recording the event today. So now with those logistics out of the way, I'd like to introduce our speaker. I'd like for you to meet Laura Cirilli. She is the resume whisperer and our recruitment powerhouse. Laura isn't just a recruiter, she's your career champion. She has nearly 20 years of experience helping employers and job seekers find the perfect match. She knows exactly what makes a resume stand out in 2 seconds or less. Laura is married and the mother of 2 teens. She brings her straight shooting, no nonsense approach to every interaction. She's passionate. I find her hilarious and deeply invested in helping job seekers get the respect that they deserve. Her resume workshops aren't just about tweaking a document. They're about empowering you to own your story, bypass the hiring black hole, and land the opportunities that you deserve. And if you love what you hear today, be sure to stay tuned all the way to the end. Laura is also working on a game-changing book that will give job seekers even more insider secrets to crafting resumes that demand attention and unlock real opportunities. So today, she's here to help you transform your resume from a piece of paper into a powerful tool that opens doors. So get ready for honest advice, real strategies, and probably a few laughs along the way as well. Laura, with that, I
No
will turn it over.
promises. I'll share the screen right now. There we go.
Got it.
And okay, there we go. I think I've succeeded because we can only share it when this starts. So, all right. Success, Bernie?
You're good to go.
Okay, great. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in. Pardon me, I have anybody that lives in Canada understands the winter here, and my eyes are so dry. I really can't wait for June to come around. So sorry, I'm not crying. I just got dry eyes. So Bernie has one little question to start this off. I'm really curious to know, and I'm going to see, is it polling up now? Oh, there we go. Okay, so I'd love for you guys to answer this quick little fun question. Do you get nervous during interviews? Dying to know. Curious. Well, look at those yeses just going to zook. No, I love the confidence of Mr. or Miss No. Perfect. I love it. Amazing. So the reason why I asked this question is because I'm going to give you a little trick when it comes to resumes, as most of you, when it comes to resumes, when it comes to interviews, as most of you answered yes. So right now, I am like super nervous talking to you guys. I am nervous because I'm so excited. I got so much to share. And, I just want to share. I'm just really, really excited. Now, what I just did is, yeah, I told you the truth. I am a little bit nervous, of course, but I also humanized our time together, right? So when you walk into an interview, and if it's a position that you really desire, you love the company, already you're like, man, the people that are greeting me, this feels good, this smells good, and you're nervous about it, but you want to calm down your nerves. A little trick is that you can always share with the interviewer, hey, you know what? I'm a little bit nervous. I'm so happy to meet you. I'm a little bit nervous today because I'm really excited about this position. So that's just a little trick, and hopefully that helps in your next interview. All right, let's get right into this though. Bernie, start that first real question of the presentation. So why are you here today? Why did you sign up for this? I'm really curious to know. Did you sign up because you're not getting a call for interviews? Maybe you need to revamp your resume and you're a little bit out of your wits' end because you don't know anymore what to write on this thing. Or maybe you never had a resume. and feel free if none of these, work for you, feel free to just pop in a chat what the real reason is. Not getting enough calls. Yeah. You need to revamp. Okay. And there's a chat. Let me just open my chat here. Okay. Curious about my approach. All right. Okay.
Your results
Great.
are on screen.
All right. So that's great. Let's dive right into it. So a little bit about me real briefly. Yes, now I'm a mother of two teenagers, and that's why there's a lot of white hair under all this. But more importantly, right now is that I was hired and fired, promoted and fired, and I went through the ringer many times in the past. And I used to be a venture capital wholesaler, and that's why I lived in Toronto for a little while, where I would sell venture capital mutual funds. So I'm a finance graduate. And sadly, or maybe actually really, luckily for me, maybe, is that about 20 years ago, over 20 years ago, corporate Canada decided to, dispose of me. I was actually even on mat leave, and they decided to restructure. Have you guys heard of the word restructure? So people easily just get rid of you. It happens. It happens. And so that was a very devastating time of my life. And long story short, it is thanks to my husband, who saw something in me and says, you should be a recruiter because you are an active and really good listener and you could do this and blah, blah, blah. So fast forward almost 20 years, here we are. Now, over the decades, I have presented like thousands and thousands of resumes to employers. I hear this every day, how employers judge these resumes, the judgments, how they're discriminated. Sadly, there's even racism. It could be quite disgusting what goes on out there, right? But sometimes somebody's judged just for where they went to school, you know. So it's become my mission. I'm just going to change slides here. It's become my mission to really help people feel seen, respected, and land the job that makes you feel fulfilled and happy. In my small way, I even want people to stop getting calls for interviews that don't matter to them because you're being misread. I want you to get calls for interviews of the jobs that you desire, that you apply to, not because somebody's giving you a try because they're misreading you. So I am so passionate about this that after a few decades now, I am now currently writing a book. I have a book coach as well. She's a 4-time New York bestseller in the world of business. I've hired her. It's a very serious project of mine. It's a devotion. I've been getting up since Christmas time at 5 o'clock most days to do some writing every day. So that's coming up. So this is how passionate I am about bringing this to you. So what is the real truth about why you're not getting called for the right opportunities? The truth is, or not getting called at all, is because most job seekers, it's not because you're not qualified. It's because you struggle, or the resume is struggling to tell the right story to the reader. So today, what I want to go through is some biggest mistakes. I chose 4 largest mistakes that I see on a daily basis, but there are so many others. There's hundreds of others, but I chose the 4 largest ones that I think you will recognize as well. We're going to break down some real examples. I'm also going to showcase you some CVs that really worked. One of them in particular worked to capture the hearts of executives out on Wall Street. So that was the most winning resume I've ever written in the past for somebody. We'll also crush some myths. There are hundreds of myths out there, but we'll deal with a few. And of course, we'll have question and answer if time permits, feedback, whatnot. So why are resumes getting ignored? Can anybody guess? Is it because, I think we have a polling question on this too, I think, Bernie. Is it because, what are your thoughts? Why do you think these resumes, they're just getting ignored, or you're not getting called? Is it because your resume was too long, you had spelling mistakes, or maybe your address, or maybe where you went to school, working gaps? So I'm getting here some are answering too long, address, location, yeah, work gaps, Short-lived? Too long? Okay. We'll wait a few more seconds. Okay, I think there you go. So it is, yes, most of you answered, 42% of you actually answered too long. 8% of you answered spelling mistakes, 17 location or address, 25% working gaps, and 8% is short-lived positions. Well, it's none of the above, really. It is partly some of those things are part to blame, absolutely, but the real answer is that it's just not answering the question, why hire you? It doesn't prove. It's really because it's not proving immediately that you can do the job. So I have, oh yes, I have one more poll, and then I'm going to take you through how these things are read. We're going to do I'm going to take you to my desk practically and show you how these things are read, okay? So a little poll. I want to know what you guys think. How long does it take for a recruiter or a hiring manager to decide whether to ditch you, sadly, to put it that way, or to keep on reading and maybe call you? This is fun. Okay. This is fun. Okay, so 45% of you think 2 to 6 seconds, 25% of you 15 to 20 seconds, and then another 25% of you is 30 seconds. Okay, well, the answer really is, you guys that answered 2 to 6 seconds, you're right. It takes 2 to 6 seconds to decide, is this like, no, it's not what I need, or am I going to read on and maybe give the person a call? So this is going to be fun. I'm going to take you, this is something that I do on a daily basis, hundreds of times during the day. So here is a really great example. This is a really true example. I've got a client. She gave me this job description. Of course, we talked about her on the phone, over the phone. I met her. I captured her essence. I know exactly what she needs in terms of personality and all that stuff. But the skills that she needs and who she is and what she represents, I get it. She needed an assistant for a property management company. Her company is a property management company. They have some real estate. They manage, the maintenance and all that jazz. And what she kept asking me, I'm going to put a pen here. She kept asking me, Laura, it's so important. I need somebody to organize. She said this a million times on the phone. Laura, if she knows QuickBooks or he knows QuickBooks, that'd be amazing. Laura, I don't know, like this is a new position. We never had this position in our organization, but I know for sure I'm going to have this person deal with all my vendors, sorry. Property inspections, he or she will call the city. They have to implement processes. I think the bigger I get, I have a cleaning crew that's getting bigger. I think I'm going to have this person handle that crew, she was telling me. Again, she gave me a list of what she really needs. And she's, somebody really organized, Laura. I can't micromanage. I have no time for that. Somebody here, I live in Montreal, Canada. So she says, somebody who speaks both English and French would be super fantastic. All right. I understood her. I met her. I get her vibe. I get it. So job went up, headhunting goes on. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to take you through a live, and Bernie's going to time me. I'm going to take you through a live way, how I would assess whether I move it along or stay with that candidate. Okay. So resume number one, I'm going to put my pen away here. All right. So resume number one, I'm just going to pull this up. I'm going to bring it on the screen. All right. I'm not looking yet. Hold on. Bernie, you ready to time me?
Ready to go.
Okay, you guys remember, I need an administrative assistant, property manager. She's going to talk to the city. She's going to talk to the guys and gals in maintenance, and deal with tenants. So here we go. I get this resume. All right. I'm going to read it out loud to you guys. Okay. What's going on in my mind? ICU clinic, Walmart. She was just at Walmart just a few years ago. Oh no, receptionist. No. She doesn't have QuickBooks. No, it's not going to work. How many seconds was that, Bernie?
It was 8 seconds, and I probably started it a second or two early.
Right, but I was also talking. So resume number two, I'll show you another example. Resume number two, and open it up. Come on. It's coming. It's coming. All right. I'm not looking, but I'm going to tell you how this is going to be read. All right, Bernie, I'm going to just throw it up here. You guys see it, right? Okay. All right, Bernie, you ready?
Ready.
Go. Okay. Oh my God, what a mess. Oof. Hold on. Where is she? Okay, what? Okay, HR coordinator. Did she study HR? She studied HR. She's not going to want to work in this administrative role. No. Because what's going on in my mind, I'm not being spoon-fed by this candidate that maybe she was very much interested in this role. But I assume that you studied HR, you've been working in HR, HR pays a much better salary. Why incarnation would you want an administrative role for a brand new like a brand new role that you never even had in your organization as a property assistant? So I assumed it. Forget it. Move it along, right? Then I hit this resume, which is going to come up in a few little seconds. Here we go. This one is exciting. I want to show you this one. If I get, there we go. It's here. All right. I'm just going to pull it up on the screen. So this resume here, and this is a real file. And this is what headhunters, employers, hiring managers, this is how it's read every day. Like this is what's going on. So this one comes up. So Bernie, you're going to time me, okay? Here we go. So this one comes up on my screen and I say, building manager, manage apartment buildings. Whoa, I'm staying. And that took me how long, Bernie?
You're about 6 seconds.
Okay, because I'm talking, but it's really faster than that. But I'm staying. And I stayed on her resume for a good minute. And I thought, oh my God, and I got so excited. I said, look at that. She ensured exterior maintenance. She supervised. This is amazing. That means she's organized, maintained records. Oh, this is exciting. Even if this girl doesn't know QuickBooks, she's going to learn it. Oh, this is so cool. She was a research assistant for Task Force on Anti-Black Racism. She's going to get along with my client. And this is how it was read. Now, this person actually did get hired finally. Now, her resume, is not really a resume that it's not how I would, design it per se. But what was amazing is that she had the keyword just jump at me. It just punched me in the face. It was a match. So I'm going to go through the 4 reasons why they land in the no pile. So reason number 1 is being that it's not proving that you're the one. So with Judney, we saw with Judney, I'm not going to open it again, but we saw with Judney that she was the one. The proof was right there it was smacking me in the face that she came from this world of property management. Now, the top part, there's another way I like to put it this way. There's another way to smack people in the face with the proof that you can do the job. Nobody, as you could see, as you saw, nobody reads a resume from the first word to the last word. It's not a book, right? It's not a book. It's not an article. It's a guiding piece. It's a referral. It's a reference if you can do the job or not. Am I calling you or not? That's it. That's all. So I have what I like to call the top part of a resume. And before I go further, I'd like to ask you guys, do you still think that stating a career objective helps an employer convinces an employer to give you a call? You know, that famous career objective that you put at the top part of your resume? Do you think it helps? So let's see. I'm dying to know what you guys think.
Laura, while those are coming in, Cassie asked a good question in the chat. She said, is it taboo to apply for the same position after getting a rejection email without an interview?
Is it taboo? You know what? No, because I did that myself actually over 30 years ago for my very first job out of finance school. I was rejected. And I don't know if this makes sense to you, but I was rejected. And I said, holy cow, why the hell am I rejected? I completely qualify. So what I did actually is I pulled up the job description. And thank you for this question. I pulled up the job description and I wrote a letter to the hiring manager, short and sweet. I did this, I was the age of, maybe I was like 23, 24 years old. And I wrote to them saying, I'd like more clarification of my rejection because, and I would just quote them, you asked for such an experience. And then I added the proof, but I have it and I quantified my proof. And I went on and on this way in my letter. And I actually got called for an interview. So no, it's not taboo. And especially after this little boot camp, if something triggers you and says, oh, I'm gonna reshape my resume a little bit and just make it a little bit different, why not? Why not give it a try? Did I answer the question?
Yep, very
That's
good.
okay.
Thank you, Laura.
All right. So 64% of you think no, a career, putting your career objective doesn't really, doesn't really help the employer convince to give you a call or hire you. And you know what? You guys are right. You're absolutely right. Long gone are those days where we, work in an organization and we last until we get our gold watch, right? Where we put our pledge on this document that says, "Dear reader, my career objective is to devote the next 30 years to you. I want to grow and I will learn whatever you teach me." Gone are those days. And the career objective, sadly, it's no longer about you. It's what you can bring to them, what you bring to the table. So they need to know quickly, listen, can you do this job or not? It's about them. Things have changed. Things have turned around. So what I like to do is I like to use the top part of a resume, like this one as an example, where instead of writing a career objective, I would prefer that you guys give yourself a title that makes sense and that bridges what you've done in your life and what you're applying to. And it just states right there and then, hey, forget my name, but you stop right here because I'm the one you want to talk to, you know? And I also like to use the core. I'm just going to show you here. If I don't know if you see it, I'm going to just use a pen. I like to use these core competency sections here to really hone in on why you got to call me. And this is the part, this top part usually gets tweaked a lot for every position that you apply to. So you could resonate with the employer and say, oh, I recognize my job description in this resume. I'm going to call the person. Just like I did with Judney. I recognize the job description in her, right? She did it a different fashion. She was lucky that the words came at me, but I would have definitely, oh, by the way, my client was impressed with her resume, but she did make a comment about Judney's resume. She did say that the resume was a little bit sloppy. And for an administrative assistant, she did expect a little bit more structure in the resume. But because Judney had me as a cheerleader cheerleading her, no, you got to meet with this candidate. I know maybe it doesn't look, resumes are not letters. Don't judge people on how they write resumes. My client says, okay, Laura, I'll give her a try. I will interview her. So there is a structure on how to present your qualifications. So reason number 2, your resume doesn't get called or ignored, or it's not the right color, is because your resume is full of useless words and pictures. Like all these words like, I'm results driven and I'm a team player and I'm hardworking. Oh, who cares? That's not proving that you can do the job, right? Again, to use Judy's example, I just saw property management and boom, I wanted to call her. It's not, and of course in there, I'm sure she had the words, collaboratory, communication skills, blah, blah, blah. I need proof right away. So the fluffy words doesn't work to your advantage very much sometimes, and it's a waste of space. Also pictures. I really want to show you this picture here. I'm going to just put my pen away. All right, I'm going to open this. This is very common. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the style, or your friends, or people that care and want to help you write a resume. They tell you, okay, well, try this template, Please stop using templates. Let's get back to the basics. So this is an example of a resume that did get sadly rejected. But let me tell you something. There's 2 things here that drive me mad. Pictures. In North America, it's very dangerous. Maybe in other countries, like in Europe, there are mandated to put their picture. I once helped somebody from Thailand, and he told me not only did he have to put his picture, he had to put all the names of his parents and his grandparents and great-grandparents. In Thailand, they need to know like where you're from, who made you, what family are you from. So that's an extreme, right? So every country has its own, culture and way to present their skills. But here in North America, pictures are not necessary, and I really discourage photos. You just don't know who is looking at your resume. It could work to your advantage and it could work to your disadvantage. Not only that, this drives me crazy. The personal skills at the bottom, you see all the circles? I don't know who invented this, but this is how I read it, all right? So we could take the one here in the middle on the right, presentation skills. So the circle's not really closed. So you're telling me that you're not really good at presentation skills? Like, how am I supposed to guess, like, if you're good at the skill or not? Or problem solving, you're not always that great at problem solving? I really find these circles completely useless and very dangerous. So I want you to be careful on these templates.
Hey, Laura, I think you were showing a different resume on screen there. It wasn't the one with the little circles.
Oh, you're right. I was. Let me pop it up. I beg your pardon. Okay, there we go. It's on my
There
other
it is.
screen. So now
Yeah.
you see the picture and you see the circles that don't make sense. So you see here the presentation skills. It's like not close. So what are you telling me? You know, Canva, you're not that good with Canva. Like you could use Canva, just state that you can use it, you know? During the interview, you want to get phone called. During the interview, we could discuss more details about how far you can use Canva, for example, but get the phone call. That's why these circles do more damage than good. This is my opinion. So let me see here. Bernie, do you see the presentation if I move forward? There we go. Okay, yes,
Yep.
I think we're
Good.
back on. All right. So reason number 3, your resume is too busy. So this, I'm going to show you a resume that is overloaded with color and graphics and fancy design, dense, hard to read, looks impressive, but there's no proof whatsoever you can do the job. And frankly, I don't find that it looks impressive. And this is the resume. She told me I could use it. This is a resume of my book coach. Okay. So when I said, I can't believe it. I said, Crystal, you are a 4-time bestseller in business books on the New York list. And this is your resume? She's like, yeah, Laura, can you help me? I'm like, oh my gosh. I said, first of all I see is Pepto-Bismol. Like colors are dangerous, guys, because you don't know how we interpret color, just like a photo. You know, look, photos too, it's crazy. You know, a photo could land in front of somebody, and let's say it's a gentleman that says, oh, she looks like my ex-wife. Like, it's insane what people think. And guys, I've heard it all. I have heard it all. That's why less is more. So this is another great example. You know, I told Crystal, I said, Crystal, are you kidding me? It's like I feel like I'm gonna have like a stomach ache, you know. And what's this unicorn cartoon? I thought you'd be like a cartoon artist. You know, this looks like a cartoon artist resume, not a bestseller. So this is we have to really watch out for that. And it sets an impression, right? And last reason that I find very common, this is important too, that your resume makes you look unreliable. You may have had, and we're all human beings. Of course, we've had some short-lived roles. We've had unexplained career gaps. Some of us had children, a sick parent to care of, or maybe we just want to travel the world, right? And just take a break. So, but all of this, if it's not explained in the resume, it could be judged as short-lived. So I have a quick example here that I want to show you. So this example here, I hope I do this properly now and open it up that you see it. So this is an example where as soon as I remember 2 to 6 seconds, right? I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, and my clients are, I have to be honest. As a recruiter, I know very well that some people, I mean, there's bad luck that happens. There's things that are short-lived. People do a lot of contract works, but they forget to write that it's a contract work. I still give people the benefit of the doubt. And let's say this person is sorry, it's in French. I beg your pardon, but we don't need to see what the content. But let's say he's applying for a customer service position. I probably would have called him. But I know my clients would never have called him because I know I hear it already. I have the voices of 5 clients right now popping into my mind. They'll tell me, oh my God, Laura, this person had a job every year, a different job every year. Next. That's how this one is read. I'm going to show you another one. This one is forgivable, and I'll show you all the difference. This person here administrative assistant, but she writes the word stage, which in French, it's an internship. So this commands more respect, right? I'm like, okay, great. It's not short-lived. I get it. She was there for a month, but it's an internship. How cool. Somebody in the medical field gave her a chance. I'm going to call her. And my clients might actually call her too, because it's explained. So going on to the next slide. I want to know, you guys, how far back do you think that you should go in a resume? So let's say, I'm going to say, let's say you're 35, at least you've reached the 35-year age, at least. Should you go back 5 years? Should you go back 20 years, 10 years? How far back do you think you should go? Let's see. So half of you so far said you're guessing, no, more than half, you're guessing maybe 10. Some say entire work history, some say 5. Okay, so more than half of you feel that you should go at least 10 years. Minority, you have a few of you say 5, and some say the entire. Okay, actually, nothing's right or wrong. It's all relevant. So you're gonna tell me, but Laura, I've been working for like 30 years, and all of my work history, like it's really relevant. I want to show them that I was in, in such a role, and I embarked in such a project. I get that. But then we fear ageism. That's the problem. And yes, oh my gosh, my friends, sadly it exists. Now, again, as a recruiter, I'm cheerleading for my candidates, and I tell my clients where to go when they tell me, Laura, what year do they graduate? I'm like, hey, I'm 51. You have something against a 51-year-old? I'm still vibrant, and nothing slowed me down. Like, yeah, you're right, you're right. So look, ageism exists, and I twist it around, and I'm funny with my clients about it, but it's real. Now, again, I'm cheerleading for that candidate, but if your resume is floating around out there, sadly, son of a gun, they're looking at your grad year, they're looking at, oh, how far you went, when you started work. There's a little bit of a trick. I have got many tricks. Don't forget, I want you to get a phone call. I want you to bypass this nonsense judgment, right? I want you to get a phone call. So there's a way strategically to present all of the beautiful things that you've done that might be very relevant to the position. And what I like to do, this is the winning resume I wrote a few years ago for a legal counsel that won the hearts of the executives on Wall Street. So what I did for this fellow, who had over 30 years of experience, but I want to keep it nice and, simple and fresh, I just summed up some experiences he held back in his 20s and early 30s as other professional experiences or other professional endeavors. So there is a way to summarize what you did without yelling and screaming to the reader how old you are. So thus far, are there any questions? I'm going to look at my chat here.
Yeah, Laura, we've got Casey's got a couple of questions in the chat.
Okay. Yeah.
She said, how do you know what words are fluff? With AI on the rage, it seems like that list grows at an exponential rate.
Yes. The trick with AI is just that's why there's two things. You gotta keep, your resume has to be tweaked. Sadly, gone are the days that you have a one-size-fits-all resume and you send it out. Sadly. That was the case in the 80s and the 90s, maybe even the early 2000s. Sadly, that's gone. You're going to have to tweak your resume for every position you apply to, but it's not like a big job to do it. If you look even at the top part, just make sure that you have the keywords that the job description is using and you plug them in. I'm going to give you such a great example. It's that everybody will understand. I've got clients that say, Laura, I'm looking for a sales rep, sales rep, sales rep. Their job description says sales rep. So obviously I'm going to be looking for a sales rep. Now, if let's say I'm at a time and I'm not using my brain and I don't also look for business developer, account manager, like I do a lot of research for my clients. So I really find a lot of candidates because I know you're all using different words. But let's say my client is not using a recruiter and has zero time, and he just tells the system, all the sales reps in Montreal in this vicinity that sold food, so sales rep, food, bring them to me. If your CV has the word business development, you will not probably show up on a search. You won't. And it's so sad. This is why if you're applying to company XYZ and they say, we're looking for a sales rep, doggone it, just write sales rep in your resume. You're not lying. It's the same words as business developer. And how long does it take you? A couple of seconds. This is what I mean by tweaking. I'm not saying you reinvent your resume in the wheel. Plug in those keywords so the automated systems, the automated tracking systems will find you.
Laura, Casey's got a few questions in there. I don't know if you want to hold them until we get closer to the end, or do you want to address another one?
I can address another one.
Question to what you just answered. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. But the rest of the questions can definitely wait. I'm just putting them in the chat because I don't want to forget them. But I feel like I've seen companies use the fluff words in their job postings.
Yes,
Do we need to avoid those too?
No, you can definitely incorporate them, and you must. My point with Judney, right? Judney, I mean, the most important keyword. What is the most important? In that job description, it was the words property, maintenance, QuickBooks. And she yelled and screamed, property, like, oh, and administration, right? Those were the key words. Judney guaranteed had a lot of the fluffy words that my client also used. And I suggest that you use them. So if my client says, you know, or the job description says 5 times or twice at least, must be a team player, must be a team player. Yes, put that in. That's fluffy, but you can put that in. But that's not the biggest proof that you can do the job as an administrative assistant in the world of property management. You understand? Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you could definitely incorporate those fluffy words, but don't just fluffy words were used back in the 90s, back in the 80s, and it was nice with the career objective. Now, because of AI and all these tracking systems, you got to be a little bit more specific. And those fluffy words like team player, that almost everybody uses. So that probably doesn't need to get tweaked so much, right? But it will do you no harm to put team player and the other fluffy words. But don't just count on those.
Thank
So,
you.
for example, if they're saying we need QuickBooks, you got to say, oh, of course I know QuickBooks. Make sure QuickBooks is in that resume of yours, along with all the fluffy. But the other stuff is going to be fluffy and nice, but QuickBooks is more important right now than team player. Yeah, team player. But if you know QuickBooks, that's a better proof you could do this job. Yeah.
So Laura, we're at 1:40, just a time check. We have a few more
Okay.
questions in there, but I think we move through the content and then we'll come back to the questions.
Sure. All right. So we are approaching towards the end of a boot camp. There's so much to say. And this is why I've become very passionate about it, and I'm writing a book about it. And my book has 22 chapters right now on this topic, which also includes strategies on interviews, how to dress for interviews, because I've seen it all and I've heard it all. How many times I hear a client tell me, oh, Laura, she was lovely, but oh my God, her perfume, I was going to faint. It's like, oh man, how do I address that? And then I come to my candidate's defense, say, all right, poor lady, she was nervous. Her sweat and her perfume probably made it really awful, but give a human being a chance. Oh, you're right, Laura. Can we send her in a second time for a second interview? Is she really qualified? Yeah, Laura, I guess she is. All right. Hey, Susie, I got you a second interview. But Susie, listen, the corporation has a no perfume policy. Oh, no, you're fine, you're good. But they don't have they don't wear perfumes in that company. Done. So anyway, I digress, but there's so much to say on all of this topic here. So here, what I want to say is just reminders of being careful. Even too much information, sometimes personal information, be careful about that. The flashy, the over-designed templates, just keep it simple, because all that fluffy, fashionable templates, it's just fluff. It's the content that at the end really matters. Even if you don't have the right words, you could be fancy all you want, but if you don't have those keywords, not even the tracking system will find you. Messy formatting, font overload. Sometimes I get resumes that every line is underlined. Everything's important. It looks sloppy and messy. It's not pleasant to read. So be careful about that, and about short-lived positions. So what's next? Like I said, there's so much to say and to cover. So what I've done is I've developed 2 programs. A lot of people have been asking me to do this for a while. So I finally developed it. And I'm calling it the Write It Right and Land Interview Masterclass. And I also have one that's entitled Write It Right and Land Interviews Masterclass VIP. So in general, the masterclass is, and I know it sounds like I'm selling, and I don't like that. I'm not selling, if anything, this probably costs a couple of bottles of good wine or medium wine. So it's not a big sell. I'm just saying, if somebody wants more insight, a real good class, a master class that takes you through everything, where I teach you how to develop, first and foremost, we should always have a master resume to work from. And I would walk you through that in the master class. Ponder on who is reading your resume and therefore target that type of audience. I have a less is more strategy that I will go through. My spoon feeding method, I teach people in the masterclass this method that is crucial. We also would go through cover letters as well and some interview prepping. My VIP class is everything I just mentioned, but in addition, the VIP only has 5 participants, because what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a personalized resume audit. So together with the others in the room as well, we can all look at each other's resumes and learn together. But before you attend this workshop, you send me the job you want to apply to, and you send me your current resume. And then during the session, we will tailor your resume to that job. We'll also do a LinkedIn audit as well. And what happens is either master classes, whether you join the general one or the VIP one, I will provide you proven resume frameworks, my own templates that work, verbs, powerful verbs, and key phrases that will help you really remember and trigger, like, oh yeah, I did orchestrate that project. That's a good word, So powerful verbs describe your qualifications and what you achieved. I'll also give you a sample of a few winning resumes, including that legal counsel one that won the hearts of the executives on Wall Street. And I'll give you those templates that will show you to be easy to navigate and read. So this is my goal. I want people, this is my mission. I really want to train and teach people how to land great interviews, but the great ones, the interviews that you're interested in, and that you don't have to just take on an interview because nobody's calling you and you say, okay, fine, I'll settle. I don't want you to settle. It's not right to settle, because we spend our day, with these people at work and doing this work. You want to be happy. If you're miserable, you bring that misery home. It affects your relationships. Trust me, I know. I've been there. I've been through a few depressions in my lifetime. I've been through times where I couldn't get out of bed. And it's really thanks to my husband. After I lost that job, it's thanks to my husband that he says, send your resume, Laura. You got to be a recruiter. And my first job, I didn't even send the resume. My husband sent it behind my back. And you know what? They called me. I didn't have the word recruiter on my resume, but I had the proof that I could do the job, because guess what? What luck. They needed a recruiter, a person to help open up their finance and accounting division. So when they saw me apply, I didn't apply, my husband sent it, but they saw all over my resume how much I'm a finance graduate, and I worked in finance, and I worked in venture capital, so I understand startups. I understand what it takes to hire people. So that's what got me the call. I got that call. I was in bed. I literally was depressed in bed. I'm not shy to share my very personal story. So when I got the call, I was shocked. I'm like, you're who? What? Anyway, and that's how, I went to the interview and I landed the interview. I landed the job. So it's just keywords, right? Sometimes. So anyway, I'm happy to take more questions. And as a parting gift as well, you'll be getting an email in the next 24 hours. I'm going to send you a gift. I'm going to send you a checklist. And I'll send you the 2 links if ever any of you want to embark in these programs. Like I said, they're not expensive. They're just like the cost of a couple of bottles of wine. Seriously, it's just really to help people, succeed in this, and be happy.
All right, Laura, I'm going to take down your screen share, and we definitely have a few questions in the chat here.
Yeah.
So
Okay, I see the
start
chat
working
now.
through them. So
Okay.
Casey asked, what about a cover letter to explain the career gaps and short roles? Do
Yes.
recruiters not refer to the cover letter during the screening process?
No,
And
no,
then-
no. I do. I don't like reading cover letters. Like it's a lot of work because we have a lot, right? But when it's not making sense, like somebody that jumped around or they were in the medical field, like that HR lady, right? She applied to be an administrative assistant in the world of property management. If she had sent me a cover letter really quick, where even the subject says explanation of change in career or change in industry, it's like, whoa, I'm gonna stop at my tracks. And you know what? I would have probably called her because, well, that's me because I give everybody a shot. And probably the employer would have maybe called her too because they had the keywords. And if they had some patience, they probably would have called her, you know?
And a follow-up question from Casey is, what
Yeah.
about page limits, font styles, sizes,
Yes.
margins? Like that's a lot of
Yes.
little nuances and details there,
A
right?
lot. And we really dive into that in the master class. But one thing I'll tell you, it's a myth about the page. Oh my goodness. It's 17 and a half years that I do this. I have never counted how many pages a resume was. What nonsense. Anyway, to me, that's nonsense. If somebody says, oh, it's too long, like who's telling you that? It's too long if you're applying for, I'm going to use example, Judy. No, not Judy. Let's use an IT engineer, and he's applying for an IT position. And my IT candidates, actually, their resumes are well over 5 pages because I need to understand, and you got to show me your journey through the technology. It's important. We need to know like how when did you begin and what do you know in technology because things move fast, right? So when I look at that now, if on page 6 this IT professional is telling me that he worked at McDonald's during high school, now that's ridiculous. Now he just deflates me. It's like, oh, why'd you do that? That's poor judgment. Why? Who cares you worked at McDonald's? You've been working for 10 years in IT. I don't need to know about your McDonald's, you know? So the pages, that's a myth. As long as the information is relative, nobody's counting pages. It's not a book, right? It's not like we're in school and say, here, you got to study chemistry. And we're like, oh, it's such a thick book. No, first of all, I don't even see how thick it is anymore because everything's digital, right? Nobody's counting pages, my friends. So, but just keep the content relevant. That's it.
All right. So Anne sent this one to me privately, I think on accident. So says, regarding CVs, I find that creative careers have different layouts for resumes. What would you
Yes,
suggest from those type of situations? She's
exactly.
in communication and there is
Yes.
a such a wide range of positions.
There's such a wide range, exactly. And these are things that I also dive in the masterclass. Like I said, there's so much to cover, but I'm so glad you brought this question up. If you're in the creative field, absolutely. Look at my book coach. She wanted to be creative. She's a very creative person. My God bless her. That's wonderful. But I told you got to tone it down because you are an author after all. So you could don't use all this color. If you want to use color, you could use it like, you could use a navy blue. If you want to be colorful, you could maybe use the logo of the employers you serviced in the past. So a nice little logo next to the employer's name. But more importantly, you just put a website of your portfolio. You know, you just show me what you got. A resume is not an art project. I understand you want to show your artistic side. There are ways to do it. And, when I do a master class, it's intensive. I definitely will walk you through and show you. As long as the information's there, you could do it a little bit more subtly, but you have a beautiful website of your portfolio. I'd rather click on that and see all your creativity. Like, wow, that's cool. That would be really cool.
Right. So then I think this is a little bit more of a comment, but I think that you can probably talk on it. So Milan said, I'm an ageism victim myself.
Yeah.
My most important role and relevant to my degree, which was a graduate teaching assistant in human geography at the university for 6
Wow.
years, but that ended 14 years ago.
Okay.
Simply can't leave it out or put it in other experience.
Okay, but is that going to be relevant to, that's my follow-up question to that is that going to be relevant to what you're looking for today? Just need, You could, if you want to talk, you
Yeah.
can talk or chat it out.
Yeah,
And meet
Milan, more than welcome to come off of mute if you'd like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. So Milan said, Laura, there are always a lot of transferable skills.
Yes. Oh, no, Leonard, hold on. I think I see ageism. Leonard, I just want to know if I made any, because I think Leonard was asking us about their degree from years ago, 14
That
years
was,
ago, right?
yep, that was
Pardon me.
Milan that asked that
Oh,
question.
Milan, I beg your pardon.
Yep. But
Sorry.
Leonard is also asking to go deeper on ageism as well.
Ageism, look, it's nobody's business how old you are. That's done. Okay, so you don't have, there's no law that says you have to write the year you graduated. Now, with experience, again, if it's relevant, like I did for that lawyer, it was relevant. He did really great projects. You just smush it up under other experiences, other endeavors. You could keep all the beautiful stuff you've done from the past. You just don't have to put a time on it all the time. And if it's not relevant, think about it. Who's reading your resume? Because if you're sending all this amazing stuff you did, are they going to be, who's reading it? Are they going to be intimidated by you and say, geez, this person knows their stuff. And he might want to be my boss one day. Like, we don't know who's reading it. And that's what I dive into in the master class. We go through the exercise to assess, all right, who's reading your resume, right? So when you ponder on that for a few minutes, then you could say, okay, yeah, you know what? I mean, it's an art. Resumes are an art. The whole process of sending a resume is an art because you should be doing a little bit of research. Where are you sending this resume? Who might be reading it? And now with LinkedIn at your disposal, you can find a lot of goodies online, you know? You might even see the picture of your potential boss. Is he really young? Oh, if he's really young, maybe you're just gonna tone it down a bit, you know? Anyway, I really dive deep in these master classes on that.
Right. So this question is from me specifically, Laura. So I've heard that an ATS system cannot read a header in resumes and that you should
Right.
avoid putting any important information there. Is that truth or a myth?
I have to explore that one a little closely because all of this technology is moving very fast. But the short answer is, you know what? In any event, your proof that you can do the job should be in the body of your resume for the IT world, for the IT. But for the human being, if you have a title, it's like, wow. You know, the human will stop at this resume right away and give it more time. For IT, well, in any event, you got to have those keywords anyway. So I'm not sure about that. I have to check into that for the header.
Okay.
Yeah, good question.
Gabby asked, what is wrong with including including short-lived positions? What if they are the ones
Okay.
that contain the key features required for the job that you're applying for?
Exactly. Don't exclude them. Of course not. I just don't want people to judge you and say, ah, short-lived. What's wrong with this person? You know, they're jumping jobs all the time. What? They get fired? Like, what's the story? I've heard it all. Remember, all that I'm telling you is because of what I've heard. I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up. And this is why I care too much and I want it to stop. So what you have to do, what you should do is explain. Yesterday, actually, I didn't have a chance to put it on the presentation, but just yesterday I got a beautiful resume and I actually called the girl and I said, you know, great experience. It doesn't qualify for what we need, but I had to tell you what a lovely resume because her jobs were short-lived. And you know what she did? After every job, quietly, she put was laid off due to employer losing major account. Beautiful. Or was laid off because I went on maternity leave. Oh, okay. You know, so a little bit of a reasoning. The resume is your baby. There's no law. You know, there's no rule. The rule is not, the only rule on a resume is not to lie. But this is your marketing brochure. So you knock yourself out. If it was a contract or it wasn't your fault you got fired because there was a restructure. Was it my fault? Was it because I'm a bad employee that I got restructured and booted out of finance? No. You know, sadly, I was working on a product that the government actually pulled the plug on. So they had to cut, you know. Mind you, in the meantime, they gave my job to my assistant, but that's another story. That's a story in the books. But I digress. You know, there's no reason why. You just say it's not because you're a bad person, or you don't want them to think negative about you. So why not write the reason at the bottom? Because believe me, they're gonna judge you stronger on all these gaps. Nobody's gonna judge you when you write why you left. Okay, you're informing me. Great. No judgment. Wonderful. Thanks for the info. I'm gonna give you a call. You know? So yeah.
All right. I think we've got time for maybe one or two more questions. And then obviously, if we're not able to address everything, I'll make sure that Laura gets the transcript of the chat so she can follow up with you individually with
Yeah,
questions.
that'd be sure.
So Drumi asked, what if I don't have any work experience in the past and I'm fresher, assuming to the job market, and 2 years of gap in study due to health issues? What should I
Okay.
add to my resume for that?
Well, it's a big question, but I'm gonna first of all, when you have a gap, or you had to stop, or you were studying and you're fresh and you don't have much experience, as they say, think about your school projects, your exams. Think about what you excelled in. Was there a class that you aced so well? If you do, I'm sure you did. So then you're gonna scream and shout about it on that resume. You're gonna write, freshly graduate or new graduate from such a program, and then excelled in this class, or was top of my class, or was involved with a certain project that you did in a group project. Like, display your education a bit more than just the school and the program. So focus on what you know, what you were taught. I don't know if that makes any sense. Regarding health issues, I'd have to see your resume. I have to see it all and hear your story to then help you strategize. And I'm not saying it to sell a program. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's hard to answer this way on the cuff. I just have to know you. Yeah.
Well,
So
so
I would,
what do you tell people what to do when like not everybody came to the seminar or webinar?
yeah.
So like how do you deal with career gaps for health? Because I mean I took a career gap right when I finished my postdoc training, not because I really wanted to, but because I got pregnant.
Yeah.
I mean a desired pregnancy, because I find that's really weird to say that, oh, I got pregnant and I couldn't go to work. But I just thought it was really dumb to look for a job. And if I got a job, to go, oh, deuces, I'm going to take maternity leave for 3 months during my onboarding
Mhm.
process. So of course
Right.
it stayed out. Right. So
Yes.
there's a 9 month gap there.
Yes.
And then I had to
Yes.
recover from the pregnancy. So there's another
Okay.
year gap there. So
Okay.
how do I represent myself without shooting myself in the foot?
Again, I would have to see the whole picture, but you know what? Even stating that, even being just frank and saying career gap between such a period, and you don't have to say dates, and you could make it just very vague in years. Because if you put the month and the year, it's like really long. It's like a lot of months. But if you just put a year, like if you just say 23 to 24 gap, and you could say because due to either you could say medical reasons, or had a child, there's no harm in it. And you know what? I'm sorry. If somebody also is going to discriminate somebody because they had a child and now they think, because I hear it, and they think, oh no, she has a child. Oh, she's always going to be late. The child has a fever. She's going to have to leave. You don't want to work for that company, believe me. But somebody that reads that and says, oh, that's wonderful, and sees the value, sees the proof that you could do the job, appreciates your education and appreciates your drive. They could see that the right person will call you, and you could say, and you're honest, oh my god, and this person's honest and said this is why they have a gap, because they had a baby. It's so sweet. They're gonna call you. And if they don't call you because they're jerks, excuse the language, you don't want to work for them anyway. Believe me, I've seen it. So, and both exist, as you know. Believe me, people will appreciate that, and some won't. Some will judge. You don't want to work for them.
All right. Well, folks, we are at a little bit over time for today. I want to thank all of you for joining. You will definitely be receiving some communication from
Yes.
Laura as a follow-up to the presentation today. I did drop her contact information as well as my own in the chat. Please be sure to connect with us on LinkedIn. Reach out if we can be of support or service to you. But until next time, I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for joining.
everybody. Bye.